Alright, how's it going, everybody? So we're going to do a test here on work ethic and intelligence and how it factors into prospect development. And I know that a lot of people are obviously wondering how do they get more surefire prospects out of the draft because a lot of their picks turn out to be duds no matter what. So we're going to take a look at this, and what I've done is I've cloned a player and I've changed his work ethic to be very high and intelligence to be normal, and I boosted his stats. So the guy's like amazing. Okay, and it's really not that common to see someone this good, like ever in OTP. But I've seen some really talented players, and they end up just dying, and it could be just random chance, but it also could have some factors to do with their personality. So we're gonna check it out, and I haven't done like an extensive amount. I mean, we're doing like maybe like 10 to 15 very high work ethics, and then I threw in a couple very high intelligence in there to see how it would factor as well. And then we did like 10 to 15 very low, and then a few very low intelligence. So I did it with two different players, two different sets of players. So this guy's a little bit less talented than the other guy, but we're just going to see how it all plays out. So I had them shortlisted, and we're just going to simulate probably like 10 years, actually. And that will be what we're doing. So I'm actually going to cut this, and we're going to pick it back up in 2027. We'll do 2030. So it'll be 13 years worth. Alright, so we will check back then. Okay, and we are back. So I simulated all the way to 2037. It's about a 20-year career. So I wanted them to retire and just have a full career and see who made it and who didn't. And as you can see, there was one player who never made it to the majors, and he had the very low work ethic, very low intelligence. Okay, for the rest of these players, though, most of them are Hall of Fame players. Okay, so I would say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. This guy's still playing? No, he's retired. So 7 players. We had a total of 28. We had 14 very high work ethic, and then we split that in half to, I think, 5 that also had very high intelligence, but I think the biggest concern is just work ethic here. So we had 14 and 14, 14 very low work ethic, 14 very high work ethic, and we simulated their entire careers. Now, as you can see, of those 14, let's count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And of those 14, okay, we're actually going to look at this guy right here. This is a unique situation because it looks like this guy had a career-ending injury. And in hindsight, I should have turned injuries off. And I think I'll run another test just to compare results. And next test, I will turn injuries off. But, so this guy, he played what seemed to be pretty much every day. He had a pretty good career. I mean, it didn't look like he was falling off. At least not to the point of retirement. And then after this season, he retired. I don't know if he had like a career-ending injury or what happened there, but it wasn't a horrible career, but it definitely wasn't worth retiring at age 31. I mean, I think maybe he got injured mid-season or something and had his career. And I don't know. I just simulated all those years. So even though his career WAR is at the bottom, as opposed to all these other players, he's still, if he played out the rest of his career, it would have been higher. I'm not really sure what happened, but he didn't have a terrible career. He definitely was doing well for a while. And then this guy, he played out his entire career, and he was a sustainable player. I mean, age 34, put up 8.6 WAR, and then kind of just, got put on the bench maybe. I'm not sure, but he didn't produce, definitely. And I made a mistake by putting it as a catcher. I should have put it as a different position. That definitely would have helped the testing results, but still pretty impressive to see how many games these catchers played. Okay, I mean, these are catchers. If you look at the amount of games played, I mean, you can see the very high work ethic is definitely trumping the very low work ethic. And it's a huge margin. So by looking at this, let's just go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 very low work ethics, okay, that did worse than the very worst, very high one. Okay, so these players, okay, they were amazing coming out. Let me see if I can bring up a scouting report. Okay, I can't. Let me see if there's still. Okay, and of course the very high guy is still playing. So let me bring up a scouting report. This guy was amazing. 75, 65, 65. You guys saw just minutes earlier what their actual ratings were. So when you see that all these very low work ethic players failed to even get more than 70, 60, I think okay, so there's obviously, just by math, we're going to count out 5 that did better. But here is this guy right here. He was good until age 35. After that, he really was only good till age 32. He fell off. All right, let's check out this guy here. This guy, he played a full career, and he was good all the way through. And then this guy here, same thing, full career, good all the way through. And these are catchers too, so it adds a little bit more value that these catchers are able to do this stuff. This guy, it looks like he may have took like a harsh dip in his ratings. And what about this one right here? I think I just clicked that guy. So what about this guy? This guy is the best, in my opinion, out of all of the very low players. This one is the best because he had a 10 WAR season, but he also has 514 career home runs. So no one else came close to that work ethic, or very high work ethic, or low. So I think that's very cool to see. But if you just go by strictly WAR standards here, the majority of the players had 80 or more WAR. And honestly, besides this guy would be the exception. And this guy probably wouldn't have. Maybe he would have. I have no idea. But I think he took a season-ending injury, which is what ruined his career. But very high work ethic. Every single one of these guys. Maybe not every single one because of the injuries. And then, of course, there's this guy. That's the anomaly. But the large majority of these very high work ethic players ended up living up to their potentials and then sustaining their success not like all the way through their careers, but it wasn't quite a huge drop off. And what I'm trying to get at here is that the volatility. So like by volatility, I mean the spike in their ratings. Okay, that changes and how quickly they get to their ratings. So it's not about their ratings improving or regressing. Well, I guess it is about that because volatility does include that. So what I'm trying to say is that if you have a player with high work ethic, that player will reach his potentials quicker and sustain those ratings for a longer period of time than someone who does not have work ethic. And that is the important thing to note when you're making selections in the draft. If you have similarly talented players, but one's got very low work ethic and one has high or even normal, then you might want to change your opinion on if you want to risk it, because it's just a factor. I'm not saying that no matter what, every very low work ethic player is going to suck, because as you can see here, there was one of them that actually did have 106.4 career WAR and actually had like 500 home runs. Let's look. Yeah, 514 home runs. There was one. Okay, there was one that had a career WAR above 100, whereas there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 14 that had a career WAR out of 100. So you see, 7 out of 14, that's a 50% chance that they're going to maintain their success and actually reach their potentials, whereas it's 1 out of 14 when you have low work ethic and low intelligence. So these things do matter, and I should have turned injuries off because obviously that does matter too. But for the sake of a quick test, I ran this. It took like an hour. You can do the same test if you'd like, but yeah, for the sake of just time, I ran the test, and these are the results. And I'll show you. We did 2 players, 2 prospects. They all sucked though. The other player that we like boosted up, they all sucked. But let's take a look at them. They were nowhere in comparison, like WAR-wise, to the other players. However, you can still see the results are going to be similar. The players, like just based on WAR here, the players with the very high work ethic, top 4 right here. Okay, those are the guys, and they're still playing. Actually, they're like age 37, so a lot of them are still playing. But as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 of the top 11, and then we can even go to 9, 10, and 11. 11 of the top, what, 14? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 11 of the top 15. All very high work ethic. So I'm not saying that it is a guarantee 100% that if they have very low work ethic, they will not be as good as someone with very high work ethic. But you are infinitely increased. Maybe not infinitely. I don't know what the exact percentage is because I'm not going to do the math and I wouldn't even know how to. But you are increasing your percentage of getting a player that will last and reach their potentials if you draft and consider work ethic. So if this is the same exact players, if I am looking at this player and then I'm looking at this player, okay, and they are the same exact ratings, and that's what they were. They were the same exact ratings. And then I had to choose between the very low and the very high. Now that's a bit extreme. So like say it's very low and normal and they're similar, because very rarely will you have prospects with the exact same ratings, especially in a 20 to 80 or 1 to 20, 1 to 10, whatever it may be that you're using, unless it's something as small and narrow as 1 to 5, you're going to have very rarely the same prospects or very similar. So when they're very similar and you don't know which one to choose, you're going to want to factor in work ethic. And even if you don't know which one to choose, you should always factor in work ethic. So if you're like rebuilding a team, you can't take that risk with a number 1 pick on a guy with very low work ethic, because you don't know if he's going to pan out. He may die, and then next thing you know, you are without a prospect. You got nothing from that number 1 pick except for a prospect that didn't pan out. So you want to go, if you want to try to maximize your potential of getting a player that will pan out for you and reach their ratings, you need to factor in work ethic. And I'm not saying that every single draft pick is going to suck if they have very low work ethic, but you see the results here. Okay, even with guys that aren't very good, like this Malik Spratling, not very good, just very average all across the board, still had very high work ethic. And you can see, still put up respectable numbers. I mean, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that put up 27 or more. And, I mean, 5 of 7 put up 20 or more. And 11 of 15 were the top 15, WAR ratings here, were 11 of them were very high work ethics. The other ones, only 4 out of 15 made it. Well, this one actually had 29 players, so let's count them out. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We had 14 players with very low, and we had 15 players with very high. And then, of course, there's the anomalies. Of course, there's always an outlier. And you can see that, there are some very high guys down here. I'm not saying it's a surefire thing. I'm just saying that you are increasing your chances. So if you run these tests, no matter what, the odds are always going to be in favor of work ethic. And if you take the same 2 prospects, one has better work ethic, the one with the better work ethic is a lot more likely to pan out and be a great player for you. So when you're trying to rebuild a franchise, definitely take that into factor, because, or even if you're not trying to rebuild a franchise, if you're just trying to draft and keep getting sustainable players that are always, not always, but you're just maximizing the amount of the chance, the probability that they will pan out, because a lot of prospects die, work ethic. And then if you also have to look into intelligence too. Those are just the 2 theories, and so far, based on these results, it looks like it works. So yeah, I think that this is very important when drafting, especially. So hopefully this is a video that catches on, and let me know if you like these sorts of tests. All right, thanks for watching.